Welcome to the first lesson in the N5 course. We will be going over the official JLPT N5 test collection. You can find a link to buy this book from Amazon in the description below. The expectation is that you've already watched the overview video where I talk about each level of the JLPT, and so you'll know that I don't really find the N5 to be that particularly useful. So in this course, I will try to make the N5 more useful by taking their questions and putting a more practical, realistic spin on them. Now, let's open up this book and see what's in it. So here we have it, the JLPT N5 official test collection. Because I'm assuming that you're not actually going to be taking the N5 and you're taking my advice that the N5 is useless, I'm going to assume that no one's actually doing the test, and I'm going to teach this as material for learning Japanese, not so much as test-taking material. Now on the next page, this is actually page 5. This is where we get the first set of questions. I just want to let you know that on the back here, page 48 and 49, this is where you can fill out your answers just by coloring the dots. Personally, I don't really like filling this in because I prefer writing it on another sheet as well so I don't damage the book as well. Anyway, back to the actual questions. Let's start first by reading the instructions. Starting from up here, mondai ichi. This is written using kana, but realistically, this is a common word written using kanji. This is mondai, meaning question. And now there's a blank here. For the blanks, we just say nani nani, meaning what. So I'm going to read this whole first section first. Nani nani no kotoba wa hiragana de dou kakimasu ka? Now you'll notice that the entire instruction is written using kana, which is unrealistic to real life use. Especially some of these words here are not usually written using kana. Here's what it should actually look like in real life. Kotoba here means words. Hiragana, even though it does have a kanji, this is an example of a word that is usually written using kana. So this is fine. Then kakimasu is the mas form of the verb kaku, to write. So in this case, it's asking, as for words of underline or blank, using hiragana, how write? Or for the underlined words, how do you write them in hiragana? The next instruction says, 1, 2, 3, 4から一番いいものを一つ選んでください. So 1, 2, 3, 4 from kara. Ichiban is not usually written like this. Ichiban is written like this. And this means number 1 or the best. So ichiban ii. I can be written in kana exactly as so. And I means good. So ichiban ii, the best good. Mono, thing. O marks this whole thing over here as the object. So ichiban ii mono o. And the object needs a verb. And the verb is the end of the sentence, erabu. And erabu means choose. So erabu is usually written like this. And how many do we choose? We choose hitotsu, a single one. One tsu, tsu being the common counter. I'll make a video on counters sooner or later. You'll see the video available on YouTube somewhere in the top right corner. This whole second sentence comes to mean, from 1, 2, 3, 4, please choose one of the best good thing. In other words, out of 1 to 4, choose the best answer. Next here, we have an example. We know this is an example because it says de. De means example. And in this example, we have 写真はカバンの下にありました. You're supposed to choose one of these 4 answers, and in this case, the correct answer is 4. And so on the answer sheet, the kaito yoshi, this means answer sheet, written like this, you're supposed to circle it out like that. In this particular situation, the other answers here are just typos. Now, what about the other words here? Shashin is not usually written like this. Shashin is written using kanji. This means photograph. Kaban means bag. It is written using kana most of the time, so this is correct. However, you can write it in kanji as well. It would look like this. And then arimashita is the past formal version of utter, to exist, which is usually written using kana. Altogether, this is an A does B sentence, and we know this because it ends on a verb utter. If you are unfamiliar with the 2 types of sentences in Japanese, please refer to this video linked up here first. It is a free guide available on YouTube. Because we have identified that this is an A does B sentence, and we know that the B engine is utter, we can now look for the subject that does the utter. What does the action of exist? In this situation, there is nothing marked ga, so there is no ga marked subject. However, we know that there must be a logical subject in order to do this action. So in this case, we insert the 0 ga, just meaning it, or the context-dependent subject, and we say 0 ga aru. It does exist. Where does it exist? It exists in shita ni aru. So it exists in down. The down of what? Kaban no shita. The down of the bag. So underneath the bag, it exists. And what is this it that we are talking about? Well, the topic answers that question. Shashin wa, as for photographs, it exists underneath the bag. Now, let's move on to the actual questions here. This first lesson will just answer the first page, by the way, and there is quite a lot of words on here, so there is quite a lot to learn. So, number 1, 明日は雨ですか? Ashita is usually written using kanji like so, and it means tomorrow. The word that is underlined is ame, for, and that means rain. You should learn to recognize this kanji in particular, as this is used as a radical in other stuff like clouds, lightning, and snow. The kanji itself, to me, looks like a window with rain falling outside of it. I just lost 20 minutes of recording because my phone just died, so I have to re-record this. Oh my god. The first question that asks when doing sentence breakdowns is, what type of sentence is this? Is it an A does B or an A is B sentence? In this case, it is an A is B sentence because it ends on des, which is the copula or the formal version of da. That means is. So the second part here means is rain. And what is rain? Well, it is the ga marked subject, which is invisible here, so we call it the zero ga it. It is rain, and what does it refer to? Well, in this context, ashita wa, so as for tomorrow, it is rain. Now, someone might ask, Chafe, how come in the example it ends on ka period, but you write ka question mark? Well, as I stated in the particles video, the ka particle basically already does the question mark function. So you don't actually need to use the question mark. Matter of fact, it's actually quote-unquote incorrect to use the question mark. However, Japanese people do use it. So I don't really care about what some old grammarian guy considers right or wrong. I just observe and do. And that's kind of good advice for language learning in general, to be honest. Now, back to the lesson. Now, unlike in the example questions where all of these are just garbage answers, these are actually real words. Number 1 is yuki, which means snow. An example sentence is yuki ga furu. That means snow does fall. The verb furu here is in particular referring to weather falling, such as rain, hail, or snow. And while in English we would say it is raining, snowing, or hailing, in Japanese you would say the rain falls, or the snow falls, or the hail falls. Second is hare. This is actually what's called the e stem of the verb hareru, to clear up, referring to skies. When we convert a verb into its e stem, it turns it into a noun. So instead of to clear up, it just means clear skies. An example sentence for this is 今日は晴れだね. As for today, it is clear skies, huh? And 3, we have kumori. This is again the e stem of a verb kumoru, which means to cloudy up, as in the sky. Of course, because we convert this into an e stem, it is now a noun. So instead of to cloud up the skies, it just means cloudy skies. An example sentence is 明日は曇りです. As for tomorrow, it is cloudy. Or in more natural English, it will be cloudy. Remember that in Japanese, the present tense and future tense are basically the same thing. We should more accurately call it the non-past tense. Click here to continue watching the rest of this lesson on Patreon. All lessons from N5 to N1 will be available for members of the Kumicho tier or above. それではまた今度.